are on India Today podcasts and you are in the sledging room. All right, then, we are barely a couple of days away then from India's sixth match of the 2023 World Cup. Things are getting really interesting in the World Cup. I mean, they are and they aren't. Frankly speaking, some questions have been asked about why there couldn't have been more thrillers. I mean, that's a bizarre question to ask. It's just that the gulf between certain teams has been enormous. India, they've shown that they are way ahead at least of every team that they've faced, and they have had convincing victories, whether it's Australia, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Pakistan. New Zealand ran them a little close, but again, at the end, Virat Kohli was the big difference. And of course, India's bowling lineup, which everybody seems to agree is the most balanced in this tournament. Well, you've also had New Zealand on the other hand on the other side. They've been very good. The batting has come along. Even without Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson came back from an injury and then got injured again against Bangladesh with a broken thumb. That's unfortunate. But again, New Zealand have shown that they have that side to challenge everyone else to win their first ODI World Cup. You've had South Africa. Their batting lineup has looked really dangerous. Pakistan, we've spoken enough about them all over the place. But England, goodness. Saurabh, Akshay, but again, I've seen so many tweets about what's gone wrong with England. But look back at the last few World Cups, 92 finalists, champions in 2019, and one of the most controversial one-day games ever played, right? But look at them in 2015, ordinary. 2011, very ordinary. The two World Cups prior to that, nothing much to write home about. And even now, it's not really a surprise, is it? They've been just too carried away with their baseball concept over the last year or so.
The thing is, Raj, I think, there was a lot of expectations because of what Eoin Morgan's team had done. And if you look at it, England did not have the right preparations and even their warm-up matches got washed out.
Yeah.
And most of the players have not been in form. I think it's a bit of luck factor also.
Luck?
7 of your players out of form at the same time. I don't think any other team faces that, right?
Why are they out of form?
As in lack of practice in that ODI format and all that.
Exactly.
But I do agree. But I'm also on that side where I'm not able to understand why England have been this poor. As in, okay, none of us picked the England in the top 4 when we made the prediction in the sledging room before the World Cup. But did we expect them to, reel at the 9th spot, 10th spot, languish at the 9th spot, 10th spot? That I don't know how. I can't explain why they have been this bad. That's my point.
If you ask me, I was expecting England to do good. I'm not saying they will play semi-finals or the finals. But after they have failed to perform in these matches, so I was reading up some stats. So this England team, the playing 11 which they have fielded in this World Cup, they had never played together in an ODI game. Never.
Yeah.
Okay? Since that 2019 World Cup final where they won by barriers of margins against New Zealand, and after that they have played just 42 ODIs across 4 years. And players like Stokes, he comes out of retirement. Joe Root, he has had 2 years without any ODI game. Harry Brook, he was not in the scheme of things. Suddenly the captain comes in, the coach comes in, he has got a chance to come in and he gets a chance over Jason Roy. So this is your preparation. You bring in an injured Jofra Archer who was never going to play. He's in reserve. Why? You need players who can perform.
Yeah.
You
know what, Raj? In the same sledging room 4 weeks ago, we were applauding this call as a bold call. Dropping Jason Roy when he was injured and bringing in Harry Brook.
Yeah, but that's how decisions go. That's how sporting decisions go.
It didn't look good. Now we are pointing fingers at that decision.
Look, there are certain things that you have to question, right? England have been very good with the test team.
Yes.
But again, they came to India and they lost. But that was way before the baseball concept really got going and the world started to understand what that was. But yes, sort of correctly pointed out that whole confusion, that conundrum. Jason Roy in, out. Harry Brook, not considered. We actually applauded that move. Let's say, look, okay, he hasn't quite gotten the ODI stage on fire. How did he get into the team? Because of the 100. It's not even a T20 format.
Exactly.
Because of a couple of knocks at the 100, they said, no, now we need Harry Brook in the lineup. Ben Stokes comes out of retirement, plays just this one series, okay, gets to 182, his best ODI score.
And then he's injured.
Then he's injured, doesn't play until well in
halfway
into the tournament, and when by then England's prospects were already dented. But that defeat to Sri Lanka is going to take a miracle and a half for England to even think of the semi-finals. Australia, meanwhile, have really bounced back from those two defeats to India and South Africa. They are now looking so clinical, especially the victory of the Netherlands, a 300 run, an over 300 run victory, 309 run victory. That obviously bolstered the net run.
Biggest ever in World Cup history.
That's massive. The second biggest victory in one day cricket overall as well, right? It was just completely crazy the way they brushed aside the Netherlands.
But what do you think, Raj, is the reason for England's poor?
Like I said, I think it's just complicated decision making, and I don't think Jos Buttler has slotted in very well as captain. His body language has been abysmal. I don't think the team is responding very well to him. Some of the changes, some of the bowling changes, very questionable. Obviously, yet you'll say that, okay, just before the Sri Lankan game, they missed out on Reece Topley. They haven't had Chris Wokes at full form. They don't have that level of, that depth in the spin department as well. Okay, you can talk about Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali, decent spinners. Adil Rashid, probably one of the leading spinners in the shorter formats, but he hasn't quite found his groove. You look at a good wrist spinner, what they can do. Look at what Kuldeep Yadav has done. Adam Zampa has played a crucial role in Australia's revival. 3 consecutive 4-wicket hauls, the leading wicket taker in the World Cup currently, and everybody slammed Australia for just bringing in one frontline spinner. But I think they also backed their strength. They also backed someone like David Warner to come good at the top, and for Glenn Maxwell to do what only Glenn Maxwell can do. Comes in, he didn't even want to bat apparently because he has a young family. He was up all night, didn't get to sleep, and he said, I wasn't in the mood to bat. He comes out casually, 40 after he faced his first ball after the 40th over. He became the first batsman to score 100 after facing a ball in the 40th over of a one-day international. So that's just phenomenal what Glenn Maxwell has achieved so far. Even with the ball, he is going to be very crucial. But like you said, England, it's just frustrating to see England that way, because you want to see more and more competition. So all the talk around the World Cup, how it is sort of not, it's fizzed away. Yeah. I don't think the one-day format is to blame. I mean, I'm still a huge proponent of the format. I get that the T20 format is huge. I like that format. The thing with me is I like Test cricket the best, but I also like one days and T20. I think both formats have their place in.
So you like the 100? That should be.
That's rubbish. That's what misguided and misled England to building a team that wasn't potentially going to win the World Cup. But even look at England's campaign in 2019. They weren't at their best.
Yes.
India were easily the best team in 2019 and even in 2015 alongside Australia. They of course lost to Australia, eventual world champions, but in the semis. But England have just been very, very ordinary, well below par. Last year, in 2019, they beat Australia. Again, that was a very different Australian team, still, recovering from the sandpaper scandal. And the final was, I still think the trophy should have been shared. I know it's controversial. It's not something that we can talk about anymore, in the middle, almost in the business end of this World Cup. But, guys, coming back to India.
Yes.
Right. Huge match against England, because England will be reeling, they'll be hurting. And India, they don't have that kind of pressure, but they have that home expectation. Everybody, all of us have assumed that India can't possibly not win the World Cup. They are such high favourites now because of the way everything has shaped in. One more victory against England in Lucknow on Sunday, and you are just 1 inch away from the semi-finals. What can go wrong?
Nothing can go wrong. I don't think this England side has it in them to even challenge that Indian side. Look at Rohit Sharma's batting at the top. Look at how Virat Kohli. We have all asked questions of Virat Kohli. We have all asked questions of Virat Kohli's centuries coming against weaker oppositions. But look at the way he has responded in a big tournament.
All 40 centuries coming against weaker opposition.
Some of them. Look at the way he has responded. He is India's leading run scorer with over 350 runs in 5 matches. And England don't have that. I think they want to go home right now.
Joe Root apparently isn't very excited about the one-day format. They start losing and then suddenly...
That is how they have been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, when England are winning, everything is fine. So, after 2015 World Cup, they supposedly revolutionized the ODI cricket. Now, when they are not able to perform with bat, ball, and they are not able to win matches in India in this World Cup, the talks are on. ODI cricket is bullshit. You should play T20 more often. Why this nonsense? You invented this game. And how much years did it take for them to win a World Cup? I think 30 years,
75
34 years. And even that by barriers of margin, by the boundary count rule. And now again, when you are not able to perform, you are crying.
No, but you also have to look at the India-England rivalry in that
Yeah.
context. In World Cups, right? They've had some meaty matches.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
2011,
High
you remember what
2011.
happened in 2011. India were cruising along.
Yeah.
Tendulkar 100. It looked like India would get it. 338, I think, India got. And
Yeah.
there was a special knock from Andrew Strauss. He went on to say that that was the best ODI innings he's ever played. I remember that game, and at one point it looked like England would just cream through. But then that special spell from Zahir Khan, I think it was towards the end. It was a tight game. 2019, India won everything, barring that game against England. When strangely, they chose to shut down shop in that run chase. I don't know why, but anyway, that happened, and England went on to win the World Cup. But this time, it's just so much pressure in England. I don't even think the England team is quite pumped up. Like you said, I think they just want to go home. And look at the aura around the Indian team, right? Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli. Shubman Gill again hasn't set the World Cup on fire yet, but what a year he's had in one-day cricket. They don't have Hardik Pandya, obviously for the Lucknow game, and probably he'll also miss out the game against Sri Lanka on the 2nd of November. So you're probably looking at Hardik Pandya returning to the side, hopefully by the 5th of November when India take on South Africa at the Eden Gardens. But they found Shami. Not that they discovered Shami.
Yeah.
They knew what a treasure trove he is in that unit. It's really difficult to now look ahead and analyze that game and give England any sort of breathing space at all.
And where is it happening? Lucknow.
Yeah.
Ashwin? Can we call England as a flat track bullies of ODI cricket? They have
I don't think
all
they're bullies
those-
of ODI cricket at all. I mean,
As in,
just look up the
whatever
numbers
their wins,
for England
yeah.
between 2019 and 2023. Who have they bullied?
You give them those roads in South Africa, in Australia and England, they will score 400, 350. But the moment they see a pitch like that, yeah, we know how they complain about Test cricket.
Yeah.
When such pitches are given. But can they even trouble India in Lucknow? If the pitch aids spin, look at the South Africa game, 311, and they were, if the pitch aids spin, India will play 3 spinners.
I think it will, right? It's supposed to be dry and slow. Not as slow as the conventional Lucknow pitches that you've seen over the last 2 editions of
Definitely.
the IPL.
280.
They changed the pitch curator and they've laid out a different surface. But yes, it is not going to be easy for batters, especially against spin.
Yeah.
And India also have R. Ashwin. You talk of this bowling lineup and you sometimes you just think that guys like Shami and Ashwin will be sitting in the reserves and forget about us wondering why they aren't playing, obviously because of the balance. Other teams must be getting nervous. Goodness, you're planning against Bumrah, Siraj, Hardik, Jadeja, Kuldeep, and you have Ashwin and Shami sitting
Just
in
take
that.
a look at Pakistan for that matter.
Yeah.
Osama Mir not performing.
Yeah.
Shadab Khan not performing. Mohammad Nawaz not performing.
Shaheen
But you
Afridi
have
not
to just
performing.
rotate among
Yeah,
themselves only.
yeah.
They can't
You
do
drop
anything.
one, bring the other. You drop one, bring the other.
I'm not jinxing this Indian team, but doesn't this Indian team remind you of Australia of 2003? I mean, they had so much quality in their
Yeah.
team that world-class player was sitting outside.
Is this the best Indian World Cup team at least?
I sometimes think about it, and I'm very emotionally attached to that 2011 World Cup team because for our generation, that was obviously the first time India winning the World Cup. We'd only heard stories of '83, and but it was. Look, I know it's going to be a little controversial when I say this, but it was a great team. Dhoni leading. I mean, he wasn't in the best of form. Yuvraj, what a tournament he did. Sachin Tendulkar again. He knew that was going to be his last World Cup. Stood up. Zahir Khan was absolutely magnificent. Gambhir played some gems. Sehwag, Virat Kohli, all of this. Sehwag started off so well. But here's the thing. You look back at the group stage. You won against the Netherlands. You won against Ireland. You won against the West Indies.
Lost to
You lost to South Africa and you tied with England.
Yeah.
But it was a different format. You still had to beat very good teams to actually win the World Cup. So you defeated Australia in the quarters. That was a terrific victory. I thought that was one of my most favorite World Cup matches
Absolutely.
because
That has to be up
That
there.
streak
Exactly.
was ending.
That was just
Australia's
crazy.
streak.
Yes, Australia
Beating
was
defending champions.
unbeaten for so many
3
years
times,
in
right?
World Cups. 99, 2003, 2007.
2007.
And
They're
they
gunning for the fourth consecutive
That
title.
Yuvraj reaction after that.
yeah,
win.
exactly. And I remember that fervor leading up to the Pakistan game. So obviously, that for those were also nervy moments. You knew that India were just barely 2 matches away from winning the World Cup. Great team. Absolutely fantastic team. And by the way, home pressure
Yes.
is, I think, greater than home advantages. I mean, if you look at what the team went through in 2011, they set the tone for Australia and England to win at home in 2015 and 2019 respectively. But after that, 2015 they were unbeaten up until the semi-finals. They lost to Australia, who were the eventual champions. 2019 they had only lost to England, who were the hosts, and then the semi-finals, a close drawn affair. So, I mean, India have been really good. After the disappointment of 2007, they've been very good at World Cups. And I think, yes, you're right. But I don't want to, draw comparisons between different stretches. And every team has had different challenges.
So for you, no or yes?
That's why I gave such a long, winding answer. I said I can't compare
yes,
because you've had... you've had different strengths and weaknesses.
If you ask me, this is unfair to compare any team with that team.
Yeah.
That team gave you a World Cup title.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to wait for someone to go and win the title before you start comparing.
Like, can you compare 83 and 2011?
No, you can't. I won't. I don't know about Akshay, but I won't.
See, from my point of view, this team is playing really well. But a Yuvraj is a Yuvraj. Sachin Tendulkar is Sachin Tendulkar.
Couple is a couple. I mean, you could say a lot of...
Exactly.
Like, every generation had such great players. Madan Lal and Kapil Dev and Roger Binny and Yashpal Sharma, Sandeep Patil, Mohinder Amarnath. What stars they were, And then you had Yuvraj, Sachin, Zahir, all coming up in the big stage. Dhoni himself leading from the front in the final. Gambhir was just phenomenal.
And the pressure also after the debacle of 2007.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could have gone wrong had they not stepped up. Yeah, that was the pressure.
So you win one game in one World Cup. You go out after losing to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Next time you come and you win the World Cup.
Yeah.
Sensational.
So I think it's a little unfair.
Unfair to compare.
But look, like you can probably compare the events of 83 and 2011, right? A lot of people would say, and rightly so perhaps, that look, India won in much tougher conditions in 83.
Yeah.
You did not have that kind of financial backing. You did not have that kind of clout. You didn't even have a bus to welcome the team at the airport. And then you go on to defy the odds. You beat the West Indies twice in the tournament in a group stage and then again in the final. So, I mean, that West Indies
team as well.
And that West Indies team was perhaps the best team to have ever played a game of cricket. So, yes, it's just unparalleled. But that's why I'm not a huge fan of comparisons. It's like comparing Babar Azam and Virat Kohli. You can't compare Babar Azam.
Don't insult Virat Kohli by comparing him to Babar Azam. Please don't.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, on the hindsight, now you look at this Indian team, which is looking pretty ready. Ashwin, I think if they had to make this one change, could it be Ashwin and could India be confident and say, you know what, we could give Siraj a break. Maybe he could sit this one out. It's been a long road for him.
So will you play the game with two pacers only because you don't have the luxury of Hardik Pandya?
I get that. But, but it's Lucknow. It's England.
Forgetting the man who was bowling for an hour at the nets in Lucknow.
Oh, you're talking about
the wrong-footed Virat Kohli. Bowled. He has already opened his account. 3 deliveries.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Very good deliveries too.
3 very good deliveries, and considering the England batter's form, Virat might end up with a 5-wicket.
No, I just think that when it comes to England and Australia, when you have Ashwin and Kuldeep, and Jadeja bowling in tandem, it could just
hold a poster of Aksar from the dressing room. Most of these England batters will. Yeah. But you know what? Why I am saying this is no disrespect to the England team, the quality of that team. But they haven't turned up for this World Cup.
I'm very disappointed.
Exactly. Most of us are disappointed only.
We all waited for a match between host India and defending champions England.
Exactly. And now
we all wanted India to beat that England team.
Yes.
Like what happened in 2019.
This is not Eoin Morgan's England team. Look at the confusion that they had. Jofra Archer was flown in as a travelling reserve. And when Reece Topley was injured, you don't play him. Apparently, he went to some Mumbai Indians meeting and then left home.
Yeah. I
think it's also cultural shift from the coaches that they have.
We spoke so much about Brendan McCullum. Yeah. Bazball was criticised so much. But when they got onto the field, that passion was there, that aura was there, that sense of enjoyment was there under Brendan McCullum. But this
also Ben Stokes, I think that's the problem with Matt Motley and Jos Buttler. It just doesn't that unit doesn't seem very cohesive. We've been speaking about Pakistan, but it's the same with England. It almost seems like they just want to wind up and go home.
Exactly. If you see good teams, how they have performed, like you're talking about Bazball era. So Brandon McCullum and Ben Stokes are the kind of leaders who inspire teams. Rohit Sharma inspired teams. Rahul Dravid inspires him, like we won the Asia Cup. Matthew Mott and Jos Buttler, they won the T20 World Cup, very good, but they don't inspire team. It doesn't look like they're inspiring the players. The captain is himself not performing. When the captain is not performing, it's very tough for him to inspire his teams.
Were they overconfident before the World Cup?
Could be. I think they now either they were overconfident, or maybe with going by what Joe Root said, maybe they're not interested enough in the wonder
And
format.
questions should also be asked of Luke Wright, selector. I mean, he was also very confident. You could hear him. Harry Brook will win. We'll make this team that do. Nothing happened.
Okay, let's also talk of the equations and see where they stand, the points table, because
This is going to be,
it's difficult to assess what could come in the World Cup in the next couple of weeks, because you're looking at 3 more weeks of the World Cup from this weekend on, right? 19th of November is when 2 teams will play the title clash for the World Cup. Will it be India versus South Africa? Will it be India versus New Zealand? Will it be India versus Australia? Will it be Australia versus New Zealand? We don't know.
Who do you want if India play the final?
I want to take on South Africa.
You want to take on South Africa and beat
Defend
them, obviously.
290. Defend 290. You're winning by 100 runs.
And what about you? What about you?
I possibly want an India-Pakistan final. Still, see, as of now, like Raj, you're talking about the equations, the top 4 have destiny in their own hands. Right now, at halfway stage of the tournament, if they don't lose, if they don't falter too much, the top 4 on October 27 might be the top 4 on November 15.
Yeah, I mean, look, okay, as we speak, Pakistan have lost 4 wickets. They are 140 for 4 in the 28th over. Babar Azam has just hit his second successive 50 in the World Cup. We don't know what's going to happen by the time this podcast comes out. Probably this game would be over, but we can talk about what the points table is looking like now. India, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. It could change by the weekend. South Africa, big win. England, if they beat India, I don't think that's going to happen. But Australia, if they beat New Zealand, they're going to get a better net run rate perhaps, and that could change the top 4. But from the way I see it, Akshay, Saurabh, I think it's only the battle of the top 4 right now. Because, like we said at the head of the show, the top 4 have shown a huge, massive gulf with the rest of the other teams in this tournament. So, yes, I think that's why it's perhaps... And I don't think the one-day format has anything to do with it. I think it's mostly the fact that you don't play too many one-days.
There have been upsets in this World Cup. What are we even talking about? Close matches, you have upsets. Lesser teams defeating the favorites.
I mean, you can't really think of, let's have a close match. This is not how...
This is not IPL where...
I think it's the T20 format as well, which has shown teams that, look, you don't have to, if you're chasing 150, you don't have to wait till the 40th over. Just go for it and get it done. Even in low-scoring games, 2 things have happened generally in recent years in one-day cricket. Either the team which has batted first scored a low total, they've either blown the opposition away, or the opposition just come in and just whack those runs.
Let's be honest. Some of the teams are not prepared to
they're not
play in
prepared.
Indian conditions.
Absolutely. No. I don't think they're even prepared to play the one-day format. Right? It's just lack of patience and lack of skill set. So, India, look at the way they have adapted to the ODI and the Test formats, even despite despite so much IPL. That's 2 months of IPL. And somehow I think India are still way behind in the T20 international format. In the international format. And the IPL is by far the best T20 league in the world. High quality cricket, high quality cricketers, Indian cricketers on fire in that tournament. I think some of the matches are, to be honest, more competitive than the T20 World Cup.
They are.
Like the same.
I would love to see 2 IPLs, by the way.
And every day you have quality matches. If you compare that to ODI World Cup or whichever ICC tournament you want to compare it.
No, but this is a raging debate. I think there will come a day on the Sledging and we will talk about it. But there are 2 schools of thoughts around the one day format, right? Either some people are saying that no, this format is dead and this format is going to die. There are some people who suggest that, look, keep the ODI format only for World Cups. And I think that's a great idea. Instead of a lot of ODI bilateral series, why not play 2 editions, two IPLs in a year? I would love to see that.
I was also asking you that day, is it the right time to bring back Champions League T20?
No, get one more IPL, boss. 2 months in the summers, maybe 1 month, 1.5 months in the winters. You never know, right? Different conditions and different,
But why not Champions League? What do you think is stopping a Champions League?
I'll tell you why. Because
most
when
of the teams,
in the Champions League, when you had the IPL teams, for instance, competing against a Sri Lankan T20 team, again you could see that gulf.
But now with the
and if you ask
growth
me,
of SA20...
Yes, and with so many leagues coming up around the world. You see the same players playing.
Exactly,
different teams.
yes. So how are
So
you going to fit that
You can't
in?
be asking a Mumbai, MI Cape Town playing against Delhi Capitals. That will be very tough.
Exactly, that's the other point. That's a very
Mumbai
good
Indians
point.
versus MI Cape Town will
Because
be like a reserve match
the
between
first
the
few editions of the CLT20, and when
Yeah.
by the time the Champions League was scrapped, you didn't have so many. You had the Big Bash League, you had the T20 Blast in England, you had the IPL, you had one in Pakistan, you had one in Sri Lanka, and then you had a couple of the West Indies teams as well. Now the BBL is just next level. You have the SAT20, you have one in the West Indies, a CPL, you have Sri Lanka, you have Bangladesh.
UAE, ILT20.
Exactly. So there are so many of these leagues, and players are going to constantly be playing in across common teams. But again, apart from that, even if the IPL teams say that we're going to keep our core players,
Yes.
right? Who's going to argue? Who's going to argue there? But my point is that even then, you will see a huge gulf from the IPL champions between the IPL champions and any other T20 team. The IPL is that good. The IPL is sometimes, most matches are better than most international matches, most T20 international matches. And a lot of people are going to raise eyebrows when I say this, but that's the quality of the IPL. I'm stating facts, which is
best
messengers.
players across the world come and play the IPL. Every team have most of best players. India
And you've all the best
other-
Indian players as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge IPL fan, and I hope we come to
RCB
a
fan
point-
also.
Yes, finally, I'll admit
A CSK
that
fan
I'm
has
that
poked in
I'm
finally.
an RCB fan. I want RCB to win.
Yeah.
At least maybe 2 IPLs will give them a fair
Oh,
chance. You
you
never
know.
know in the winters. In the winters in Bangalore.
RCB fans are already discussing, no, we don't want to.
By the way, as we are talking, Babar Azam has got out.
There you go, 5 down.
50. He's got out. for
But
50.
but again, Pakistan, South Africa. They lost. The one game that they lost was when they were cheesing. So
But
another
I think-
100 runs from here on. You never know. But
But I don't think Pakistan have the bowling. I don't know. But let's see.
I don't even think they have the attitude to really make
If
make any sort of impression.
If their campaign goes down today, we are going to see more fun posts.
I mean, if
I'll be waiting for that.
South Africa win today, and that's most likely the way I see it. There'll be 2 or 3 other crucial matches to look forward to. New Zealand versus Australia Saturday morning.
Yeah.
India versus South Africa on the 5th of November. Because that will determine the
Yes.
ordering of the top 4. It's most likely looking like India versus Australia at the moment, and then South Africa
And-
versus New Zealand.
And
But-
New Zealand and South Africa have at least some tough matches to go.
Yeah.
But if you look at Australia, they have New Zealand next, of course, a direct shootout for like second, third spot, and then they have an England
Yeah.
who are not doing well, and then they have Afghanistan, which might be a tricky test, and then Bangladesh. If you look at it on paper, Australia are favourites to win.
I think
all of
Australia
these
are going to win
matches.
all 4 of them.
And they might be end up in top 2 or top
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
So that's a good prospect. But South Africa and New Zealand have tough tests
And
coming up.
I think India will win everything from here, because obviously they're looking at England.
Yeah.
They're looking at Sri Lanka, which is going to be a breeze, because
South Africa and Kolkata.
South Africa and Kolkata. I think India will take that one as well, because South Africa haven't yet played that kind of bowling lineup. When they come up against the Indian lineup, it's going to be a challenge. And by then, probably Hardik Pandya will be fit. So you have that full strength India squad facing up again. And then
And
India,
I think you should rest a couple of players before the Netherlands match, because you might not have that momentum. You have to look at the momentum.
what if
also.
India, they have a winning streak going till the Netherlands game? Maybe you could look at resting a couple of players
Yes,
even
you
then.
must- Absolutely.
3 days before the first semi-final, and then who knows. But okay, quickly before we go, Virat Kohli, another milestone on the marks there.
49. Number 49. Get it, but get it quickly. That's my
I agree with what Sunil Gavaskar said. He's going to get it on 5th of November.
his birthday.
Yeah, I think he's going to get 50th. His 50th.
50th on 5th of November.
Yes.
That is against South Africa.
Yes.
At the Eden. Good record there also.
Exactly.
Eden may Rohit Sharma 264. Not go there, but looking good. Looking good. Good times for India. Exciting times in the mid-table struggle.
Yeah.
But I think a couple of teams already want to go back home.
A couple of teams will already, when they go back home, they will be really disappointed with the way they turned up at this World Cup, because ODI World Cups will reach that status. I don't think ODI World Cups will be scrapped. Some of the comments that
I
I've
think
seen on
if-
social media just bizarre.
ICC has scheduled it till 2031.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm
So
not wrong.
there's going to be an ICC event every year for the next 10 years, which is great. But like I said, 2 IPLs would just be absolutely perfect.
you know-
That just shows your
Yeah.
commitment to T20 cricket. I like that concept.
Look at the way Netherlands, for some of the Netherlands players, it's a dream to play this tournament. And
I
they've
think
made so many
you should
sacrifices.
have those long winding qualifiers. For instance, let only the top 4 qualify automatically. I mean, I know
By
we're
the
just
way-
talking out loud, and let the others participate in these, play these qualifying tournaments, and play a 2-year qualifying tournament, so that you just get through, and then
the
you
next World
ensure.
Cup is already a 14-team World Cup.
Exactly. So that you have the best of the lot, and you also have the Netherlands, for instance, playing a team like Sri Lanka more often.
Yeah.
Right? They're playing Pakistan. They're playing South Africa.
Definitely.
So, if you're not finishing in the top 4, the semi-finalists for 2023 should automatically qualify. Of
If
course,
England
along with the
don't want
host.
to play the ODI World Cup, they can have another season
They
of
can have
100.
another at it.
Absolutely. That is what they want.
That's obviously not going to happen because.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. 100 is also having financial crisis from what I know. But just don't disrespect the tournament. Yeah, if
it
you
is,
ask Rohit Sharma, I think I still remember, he said this is the pinnacle of. Kane Williamson shared the same emotion. Said the pinnacle of cricket tournaments for them.
I was actually
they've
very,
grown up
very-
watching ODI
I was
World
very
Cups.
irritated with Joe Root's comments. I mean, your campaign is all over. England have just blown it, and you.
But typical of
Questioning.
Englishmen, right? When they lose a test match in India, they will put the blame on pitch. When they are not playing well, they will put the blame on the format. So that is what they have done.
Sparks flying already. India, England on the 29th of October as both teams head over to their 6th matches of the 2023 World Cup. That's all that we have here. I know, like I said, it could be a pretty ill-tempered build-up to the game, right? Because of the history.
Yes.
Tied game in 2011, didn't meet each other in 2015. India lost in 2019, and England eventually were going on to become world champions. To me, it wasn't a very pretty sight because I could feel for New Zealand, and I'm not speaking from a sense of bias, or maybe I am. But that's all that we have on this episode of the Sledging Room. We'll be back with a lot more on Wednesday, by which hopefully India would have won 6 out of 6, by when India would have kept their winning streak intact. England's World Cup prospects already, semi-final prospects already very, very dim. Would have, the title defense would have taken a shattering hammering by Wednesday. But we'll come back to you. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you want to talk about next week. Obviously, we'll talk about an Indian victory, hopefully. And do rate us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're following us, and leave your comments. Your comments are extremely important. We'll come back to you next week with all the comments that we received on our YouTube channel from the last show. Thank you so much, and have a cracking weekend ahead. You are on India Today Podcasts, and you are in the Sledging Room.